Is this the reason that the Rangers cannot get to 500?
Because their $500 million players are hitting 230?
Well, I think you're right about that. But to go along with that, okay, so they were at 500 at the end of May, but below 500 all of June. It's not just the struggles of those two, it's the fact that neither one of them have gotten hot at the same time. You go back to, do you know how many games they've both had a home run in?
Oh, gosh. Like one, maybe?
0.
Oh.
And it was not until earlier this week that they both had multiple hits and multiple RBIs in the same game. And it's only happened 4 times that they've had multiple hits in the same game. These are the two players that you paid a total of $500 million, and they've both been struggling. But perhaps more importantly, when you think they would be hot, Seager started off the year better and Semien was struggling. Now, when Semien took off, then Seager has been struggling. So as we look at this going into July, only 4 games where they have both had multiple hits in the same game. And then only 1 game where they both had multiple hits and multiple RBIs in the same game. And 0 games where they both hit a home run in the same game. If you are going to get back up to 500, which, by the way, they're 1-4 in games with the opportunity to get up to 500, which is not...
It's not optimal.
It is not optimal either. But you're going to need both of them to get hot at the same time if you're going to move to 500, or, as Corey said, be a good bit beyond 500 by the time we get to the All-Star break.
Yeah, I mean, goodness, like even when Seager was hitting well early on, like he's not been too great. It's just, I think, honestly, a lot of the heat's been off Seager because the first 2 months of Semien were so bad. Because, I mean, April, Seager had a 710 OPS, then it was 764 in May. You didn't pay for that.
No.
That's not what you paid for. This past month, June, it was 698, so he was under 700. Semien, it was so brutal early on. April, OPS was 443. May, it was 619, 619, shout out Rim Stereo. And then June, it finally clicked. June was the only good month you've gotten out of either of them, was June for Semien, and his OPS was 849. So they need to sync up, but I mean, if they're not going to score runs, which we've been over this week about how they don't score runs for Dane Dunning at all, the offense, period. You're just going to need, Spencer Howard to come up here and, throw 57 scoreless innings to pass Oral Hershiser.
I mean, hey, it's good to have dreams.
It's coming. It's happening. Do you remember the numbers I read for you?
Yes, I do.
13 strikeouts per night. 0.35.
If you have a whip at or below 1, that's phenomenal. 0.35, my brain can't even comprehend, but I still know who you're talking about in Spencer Howard, and I'm not willing to buy it just yet.
It is insane. That's Spencer Howard's whip matched like my blood alcohol content from the Twin Peaks fan hang.
You know what?
That's impressive.
As somebody who attended the Twin Peaks fan hang, I bet that number was fairly close to that exact thing. And then I wanted to shout out a couple more Rangers. We talked about Nathaniel Lowe earlier. He is the one player that Yardbarker shouted out that deserves more love from this team, especially when we learned, thanks to Carter, that he is not the first, second, third, but the 4th first baseman from Mississippi State we've had, with Will Clark, Rafael Palmeiro, Mitch Moreland, and now Nathaniel Lowe. So if you want to start scouting for the future, just take a look at Mississippi State.
Is there a Mississippi State first baseman in the draft this year we need to prepare for?
No, I thought we were going to take the catcher from, I want to say, Georgia Tech.
Well, I mean, Moreland was like an 18th round pick or whatever. Okay. And so I mean, just somewhere in the draft.
Doesn't have to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, Nathaniel Lowe, your team's leading hitter, 278. That's the era we live in.
That's probably, and 278, like you're Tony Gwynn, if you're hitting 278 in modern Major League Baseball. Because we've established
307 got Corey Seager all that money.
Yeah, and we've talked about, like, I still to this day, it agitated me when they were like, here was Stam Usual's war. And I was like, stop it. Nobody at that time, I get why they did it.